Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Where will the Steelers turn at offensive coordinator? As has become uncomfortably routine in the last several years, Coach Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers enter the offseason at a crossroads. Though not identical, the theme of this intersection is similar to the ones faced by the organization throughout the last 5 years. What is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense and who will lead it? After the unprecedented mid-season firing of offensive coordinator Matt Canada, the Steelers have one obvious vacancy to fill. As with all major club decisions, the decision-making nucleus is made up of 3 individuals: General Manager Omar Khan, Team President and Owner Art Rooney II, and Tomlin. Both Tomlin and the organization have a track record of hiring the familiar and promoting internally, but in his end-of-season press conference days after the wild-card loss to the Buffalo Bills, Tomlin said he felt it appropriate to go outside the franchise to find the next offensive coordinator and ruled out interim offensive coordinator/running backs coach Eddie Faulkner and play caller/quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan from the candidate pool for the permanent position. Since being hired as head coach in 2007, Tomlin has worked with 4 offensive coordinators. Of that group, 3 were internal promotions: Bruce Arians, Randy Fichtner, and Canada. Todd Haley, hired from outside the club to replace a dismissed Arians, was still plenty familiar to the organization as a Pittsburgh area native and son of Dick Haley, the Steelers' former director of player personnel. Half of Tomlin's offensive coordinators were first-time play callers in the NFL, but they did have experience at the collegiate level. But with an offense searching for an identity and steadily declining in production throughout the last 3 seasons, Tomlin appears poised to break from tradition with his most pivotal hire to date in an effort to restore a standard that slipped amid a 7-year playoff win drought. "I'm looking at outside candidates and lining up the pecking order there," Tomlin said last week. "The priority for those outside candidates is twofold: score more points and figure out the quarterback situation." In each of the last 2 seasons, the Steelers finished near the bottom of the league in scoring. In 2023, they averaged 17.8 points per game, down from 18.1 in 2022. In 2021, Roethlisberger's final season and Canada's first, the Steelers averaged 20.2 points per game, and even that was a drop from 26.6 in 2020. That's a trend Tomlin wants and needs to reverse. "I want us to be versatile and dynamic," Tomlin said, explaining the criteria for an offensive coordinator. "Obviously, we've got to score more points. I want to be able to keep defenses off balance." Steelers signed 5 to reserve/future deals. Strength and conditioning coach departs. The Pittsburgh Steelers continued to replenish their offseason roster, announcing the signing 5 players to reserve/future contracts Tuesday. 3 of the signings are cornerbacks. Each of the 5 spent at least part of this past season on the Steelers' practice squad. Outside linebacker David Perales was among the undrafted rookie free agents signed soon after the draft, and he spent the majority of the season on the practice squad. Perales had 22.5 sacks in 33 FBS games for Fresno State. Cornerback Kalen Barnes spent September 11 days as part of the Steelers, one of 6 organizations he's been with since being a 7th-round pick of the Carolina Panthers in 2022. He dressed for 2 regular season games as a rookie for the Minnesota Vikings. Cornerback Thomas Graham Jr. has 11 games, 1 start, of NFL regular season experience since he was a 6th-round pick of the Chicago Bears in 2021, but did not appear in any games last season. He most recently was on the practice squad of the Cleveland Browns. Inside linebacker Tyler Murray made for a neat story in November when he said he left his shift at an Amazon warehouse when the Steelers called offering a contract on their practice squad. He was cut, though, 6 days later. Cornerback Josiah Scott is a versatile 4-year NFL veteran signed to the Steelers' practice squad just before the regular season began. But Scott ended up on the practice squad injured list and ended up playing 4 midseason games for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's played 39 games for the Eagles and Jacksonville Jaguars over the past 4 seasons. Teams can hold a maximum of 90 players on their off-season rosters and throughout the preseason. Steelers, believed to be interested in fantasy football's worst nightmare for OC. As the Pittsburgh Steelers begin their search for their next offensive coordinator, they seem to have cast a wide net. The expected favorites for the job are more experienced names like Darrell Bevell, but the team has already scheduled a meeting Rams QB coach Zach Robinson and is expected to meet with Cliff Kingsbury. Now it seems they may be interested in one name that fantasy football fans won't be too thrilled about. According to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, there are more than 7 teams that have shown serious interest in former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith for their offensive coordinator jobs. 93.7 The Fan's Andrew Filipponi pointed out that with only 8 offensive coordinator positions open, that likely means the Steelers are one of those teams. Smith's failure to utilize a lot of young talent with the Falcons could cause concern for any team that might be considering him. There might not be a single coach across the league that fantasy football players have been more upset with than Arthur Smith over the last 3 seasons. Hopes were high for Smith after he helped turn Ryan Tannehill into a Pro Bowler with the Titans. Unfortunately, the Falcons' offense was bad in his 3 seasons with the team, despite the front office repeatedly trying to get him pieces to improve on that side of the ball. When he took over as head coach, the team already had Matt Ryan and star receiver Calvin Ridley. Then they added Kyle Pitts with the 4th pick in Smith's first draft. Ridley only ended up playing 5 games that year, but Pitts turned in a 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Unfortunately, the Falcons couldn't figure out how to use him in the red zone, and he ended up with 1 touchdown on the year. The team ended up 26th in scoring. The following year, the Falcons lost Ridley to a suspension, but they added another talented receiver to replace him. They made Drake London the first receiver off the board and the 8th overall pick in the 2022 draft. In their first year together, the Falcons' 2 young stars combined for just 100 catches and 1,222 yards. The biggest positive on the team was the running game. Tyler Allgeier put together a 1,000-yard season at running back as a rookie. Cordarrelle Patterson chipped in 695 yards of his own, and the Falcons began to resemble Smith's Titans teams. The offense was better, finishing 15th in scoring in 2022. And you fan, what do you think of the Arthur Smith situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.